Hi, it's Kathleen, and today I am so happy to have you meet my friend Suzanne Summers. She is a former chief academic officer in higher education, teacher, just wonderful person. And she and I talked today about the feeling of helping others and bringing experiences that we've had along the way to make a better impact for those beyond us. Suzanne and I met indirectly through a program at Northwestern University as part of the MS in Organizational Learning and Change. It was called Designing for Organizational Effectiveness certification program led by Jeff Merrill and Teresa Torres, and it focused on human design thinking. So really putting the human at the center of our designs for efficiency and innovation. We really connected on that. And we've never met in person, but I can tell you, I am so happy to have her here today and have you hear about her wisdom. I'm so glad you're with us today. Welcome to The Leader Journey, a series within the Rooted Leader podcast, a space for honest stories of transition, courage, and becoming. Here, I sit down with folks I've met along my own journey who've stepped away from the structure of corporate life to explore something more meaningful on their own terms. These paths are rarely linear, often messy. My hope is that these conversations help you feel a little less alone, spark some reflection, and maybe even give you the nudge to trust your own journey, wherever it's taking you. Because your next chapter doesn't have to be certain to be worth beginning. I'm so happy to have my friend Suzanne Summers with us. I met indirectly through a certification program focused on designing for organizational effectiveness through Northwestern University. And we were connected through our instructor, Jeff Merrill, who we both admire. So super thankful for that. And through the years, even though Suzanne and I have never met in person, we share a love of focusing on stakeholders in designing change, but also leading with our values. And today I'm really excited to talk to Suzanne, who's been a senior leader and chief academic officer in higher education, to talk a little bit about her latest pivot and why it's been so important to her. So Suzanne, thank you.
Oh, good to be with you, Kathleen, always.
And I know we just shared this a few minutes ago, but tell us a little bit about who Suzanne is and what motivates you now at this stage of life.
Sure. I think one of the things that's always been deeply important to me, it's a lot of the reason that I went into higher education in the first place, is I'm somebody who likes to learn. I like new challenges. I like to be engaged in multiple activities at one time. But I also have, I think a sort of guiding principle throughout my career has been really a desire to be of service to others and to be of service and really helping to build and enrich the communities that I've lived in. And so the work that I've gotten to do in higher education in 2 and 4 year institutions has been very much centered on that work. Now, at this stage of my life, I'm looking for some different things. I'm 63. My father died right as I was being offered this last position. And I think that for many people becomes a sort of pivot point or place of really deep reflection. It's one thing intellectually to know that our time on earth is finite, but when we actually lose these critical people, it's a different kind of reminder. And for a number of years before that, but I think very much since that, the question of, it's Mary Oliver's question, what am I going to do with this one beautiful life I've been given in the finite time I have? What is it that's going to be truly meaningful to me and to others? So how do I devote my energies to that and supporting that as it evolves over time? And I assume it will continue to evolve. So here I am.
I love that so much. Thank you for that reminder of how do I live this one beautiful life. And I think that's been something I've been thinking about as well at this stage. And I think others, as we talk about it, is how do we rewire our brains from that achievement mindset that we were focused on for so long. And we all both have dogs, so just so you know, you're gonna hear dogs.
Right.
So I love that you brought that up. It's so important. Yeah, thank you, and I'm so sorry for your loss, and it's something that certainly defines how we move forward, so thank you for sharing that. What's important to you now? Now, you said before you now are a fellow with the Gardner Institute. Tell us a little bit about that and why it's so meaningful to you now.
Sure. The Gartner Institute was founded a little over 25 years ago by John Gardner and Betsy Barefoot. And they have really devoted their lives, and Drew Koch, who's the current CEO, have really built the Gardner Institute to be an organization that is devoted to the idea that all students can learn, and the job of institutions and those in institutions is to support them through their learning and life journey. And that's something that very much resonates with me. So I've been working with them for about 2.5 years, and along with two other fellows, we designed an academic leadership community of practice that is intended for people on the academic side. I'll use the academic titles like department chairs, deans, but everybody in between, people who work directly with faculty and support faculty. And so those are often positions, I can say, having been a dean, that are often not well supported. And so we are really looking to help those folks think deeply about how will we engage faculty and staff in the student success work that we need to do within our units and institutions. And how are we going to do this in a very human-centered way?
I love that. Yeah, I've
Thank
seen some of your posts on LinkedIn about that and considering all the stakeholders in this process. And also at this time in education, especially higher ed, it's important, right? I imagine it's going through a huge shift.
I think higher ed is always going through shifts. I think there's always a crisis at hand, but certainly the last several years, for a variety of reasons, we've had COVID, we've had significant policy shifts, we've got AI. Technology is always changing and evolving. So I think for all of those reasons, thinking about how we will meet students where students are and help them not just earn a degree or a credential, but really get started so that they're able to thrive post-graduation, post-completion, is something that's really front and center on higher ed leaders' minds these days.
I love that. I love that thinking about the whole student, not just the education piece. So you also started your own consultancy. So tell me a little bit about when did you start getting this feeling that maybe it was time to do something different?
I think the idea of consulting was something that had been in my mind for a number of years. I wasn't exactly sure how or what. And I think you and I have talked about this. I certainly had to wade through the imposter syndrome of who am I to do this? Why me? What do I have to offer? When I left this last position, partly because we were relocating and that process took several months, I really wanted to give myself a time out and a time to think and reflect about where do I want to be? Pardon the dogs. Where do I want to be? Where can I be helpful at this stage of life? I had, for about a year before I left, I was part of a group called Educators as Entrepreneurs that a fellow consultant was running. I was knee deep in a CAO role, so I didn't have an opportunity to engage very much with it. But I got to hear from other people who'd made the transition out of institutional roles into consulting and coaching roles. And it, if anything, it really stirred my interest.
Yeah.
And so I created this firm. It's called Collective Impact by Design, very much in line with our DOEC principles and
That's
things.
right.
Yeah. And so this is really the work I want to do, is work with leaders and institutions who are doing student success and are really struggling with the question of how do we engage faculty and staff in this work, because they have to be.
Yeah, it's so important to be in conversation with those who are at the forefront of working in this situation, or when I'm working with my leaders or my companies, is their work is changing very quick. How do we hear from them to understand how do we design it,
Right.
considering all those aspects? So that's fantastic. I also found it useful to explore what was out there, to talk to others who are already there to understand what will this feel like? What might it be like? What are my opportunities? Because I was scared. Were you scared at all? Did you have doubts?
Sure, I have
Sure.
doubts.
We all, yeah, it continues, right? They'll go away.
You know, years ago, I read a book called, I don't remember the author, but it was called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. And so, I try to keep that as my motto, and we'll see.
So much of what I learned through the Masters of Organizational Change and Leading Change helps to remind me, like, that growth mindset of Carol Dweck. Like, it's
Yeah.
uncomfortable because we're growing and not everything has to be perfect when we're exploring and experimenting, but it still can catch up to you. So
Yeah.
what do you do for yourself when you have those doubts now? Because it is a lot of iterating.
It is a lot of iterating. A friend of mine encouraged me to write and post on my bathroom mural affirmation.
I like that.
And so mine says, God gave me a voice and things to say, and I will not play small to make other
Mm.
people comfortable. And
Oh,
that really came at the prompting of that friend who said, you need to look at this, Suzanne. And because he's a trusted friend, I said, okay, I'm going to sit with that for a while. I get up and read that every day. I don't know what this will look like, quite honestly. One of the things I'm most enjoying right now is the opportunity to get to write.
yeah.
My colleagues at Gardner and we've just put together a book proposal. We just met yesterday to divide up the work because we run a community of practice. We only have so much time and space, and there's really some sort of philosophical things we want to say about the model, how change models within higher ed need to change themselves to help us think about how do we engage people.
Yeah. That quote is powerful. Certainly going to be the clip for this interview for sure. It's funny because my first interview, my friend Sarah also has a mantra of what keeps her motivated to keep going. And yeah, I think how can we, all of us, use that to be more brave and more courageous and not play small, because there's no inherent value in that any longer. We have really great lived experiences to help others, and how do we do that?
Well, and I think part of the lived experience that we get is we've probably all had failures, and yet I really believe there is no failure except the failure to learn along the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
So here we are.
There we are. I love it. Okay, I'm looking over at my questions here. What advice would you give someone, or even your younger self, knowing what you know now?
Oh God, go for it.
Yeah, just go
Go
for it.
for it.
Right?
Yeah, you can do so much more than you realize. There will be people along the way who will help you if you seek them out. Don't let your fear stop you.
Yeah, and how would you suggest to people, because we do run across people that doubt us or put us in our place or make us feel small. How do you suggest we manage through that?
I think if we are very, very fortunate in life, we have people who are real friends who remind us and can mirror back to us who we really are, not somebody else's perception of who we are, which is often says so much more about them than it does about us.
Yeah.
And I tend to think that the journey of life is about finding our authentic selves, and that pathway along that pathway, we will shed those who are not on that journey. So find people who are on that journey with you because they will see you.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think we can hold the emotions and the narratives of ourselves from those people that doubt us, that really aren't our people, instead of lifting ourselves up with the narratives of those who do see us and believe in us. So yeah, that's such a great reminder. Are you reading anything right now that you're loving? I love that you're writing, by the way. I think that's beautiful.
I am with a friend, actually. I am reading a book by Shelley Francis called The Courage Way.
Ooh, it's a courage way.
Yes, I'm in the second chapter, but I'm loving it already. I don't know if you are familiar with Parker Palmer.
No.
A super interesting person. He created something about 25 years ago called the Center for Courage and Renewal. And Parker Palmer, he's in his late 80s now. In the 60s I think he was at Berkeley. He's a sociologist by training. He was going to go down that sort of traditional academic path and stepped off of it and became a community organizer instead. He wrote a book called The Soul of Teaching, I think it is. And I read that many years ago at a time when I was really struggling with, is this the vocation I thought I'd always thought it was?
Whoa, yes.
Yeah. And his work put me back in touch with the heart, right? The heart of my teacher heart.
Yeah.
And helped me stay focused on that. And the center has something they call circles of trust. It's really, some of this would be familiar to those of us who've gone through DOEC. It's really about listening deeply, reflecting back to people, but doing this in a very affirming way, as a way of building relational trust. Which, if there's a job for leaders today in any kind of organization, it is about building relational trust. You
absolutely
can't
agree
until you do that.
Yes.
So his work really, really has touched me, and the work the center has done. And so I'm loving this. She talks about 4 kinds of courage: physical courage, moral courage, social courage, which is the courage to be ourselves out in the world.
But probably what you're doing right now, right? Social courage. Yeah.
Sure. Vice versa. And then the final one she talks about, and this is the place I want to be in, is creative courage. It's saying, like, I see the challenges out there and I can come to the table and work with others to help find solutions. And so, it feels like a timely book right now.
Okay. Yeah. So the 4 types of courage and the creative courage, I couldn't agree more. And so this continues to sort of lead you as you move into this next phase of life.
Yeah, I think that's very much it. And I think beyond higher ed, I think there is such a space in our communities for that kind of creative courage, right? We need to find some ways to bring people together in community to find common solutions to common problems.
Yeah, it's so true. Yeah, absolutely true. What are you finding joy in right now, besides the work? I know the work is always joyful when you're trying to find solutions and bringing people together.
I'm learning to garden in Northeastern Ohio.
Which is tricky.
It could be 30 one day and 80 the next. Who knows? It's really, I just keep saying, this is not boring weather. I have gotten to meet a lot of wonderful women in my community and building friendships and connection here. And I am just really lifted by that.
Yeah, it's an amazing opportunity to reconnect. I know after I left corporate, I really missed my friends.
Yes.
Yeah, do you too? Okay, that's wonderful. Have you joined any gardening communities or?
I haven't yet. I've planted some fruit trees
That's exciting. So you okay,
Yes.
that's exciting. I really do secretly hope to we're planning to move this year, and I'm hoping to have some land where we might be able to do some more cut flower gardening. I've been trying
Oh,
to
nice.
try that on a smaller scale to practice here in my HOA. That's my hope is to lean into that. Okay. If there's one thing you could grow, what would it be? Like if you could have anything be successful.
Oh, gosh. You know what? If I have anything successful, it's going to be a win.
Yes, I love that. I love that. I get so excited when I see that there's more worms in the ground this year than there were last year. So, so when you think about sort of living more holistically for yourself, not just the work you're doing, but just caring for yourself and the relationships, what's something that you lean into more now than you ever have from that perspective?
Wow. Gosh, rest.
Rest. Yeah.
Rest. People I used to, friends who've known me for a long time and have seen me over the years, just say to me every time, "Gosh, Suzanne, you look so much more rested."
I love that.
Occasionally, I spend whole days reading novels. I mean, it's wonderful.
Yeah. It's almost like, why didn't we allow ourselves to do that earlier?
My goodness sake, yeah. I have applied for, I'm waiting to hear, I won't know for probably a couple more weeks, but I've applied to be a docent at the Cleveland Museum of Art so I can keep learning and get to know my community a little bit better. So,
I love that so
yeah.
much. I'm trying also to find ways to do more a variety of things, and it can be hard sometimes when we define ourselves by our work and our title. How did how does that play in for you in looking at how you define achievement now?
Oh, wow. I think there was certainly a transition period where I really wondered, who am I? If I don't have my title, who am I?
Right.
If I'm not in an institution, who am I? I would say a year later, what I feel is a tremendous sense of freedom.
Yes.
I don't know who I am totally, but I'm really enjoying the journey of finding out and really picking up things that some of the things that I used to love to do that kind of got lost along the way. When I meet up with friends right now, this area has fabulous parks. So more often than not, we meet and we go hike and talk while we're hiking and then go to lunch. I mean,
That's beautiful.
being out in nature is wonderful. It's reviving. So I love the ability to have variety. I love that I have to some days remind myself to check my calendar. My life doesn't revolve around the calendar.
I'm not there yet. Oh, I want to be there.
Oh my goodness. I love the sense that when I get up in the morning, I own my time today. I'm the one who gets to decide where I put my time, attention, and focus. That feels like the biggest luxury I can imagine.
And as I've talked with a few of my guests, you've earned it. You know, it shouldn't feel you shouldn't feel guilty. You've earned that throughout the years. And you mentioned when we were speaking that you were in the Army, you were a teacher, you were faculty, you've done many things. And how do all those experiences, how have they come together for who you are now? Have you figured that out? Because sometimes I look back and I reflect and I say, how did all of those curves, we talk about nonlinear careers, how did all of those inform who Suzanne is now?
I was thinking about this the other day. I wouldn't trade those experiences for anything. There's a wonderful book. I think the author's name is David Lodge. It's called Range. And one of the things he talks about is how people who have not had those sort of linear pathways, like how much we have to bring.
Yes.
We've been exposed to lots of different kinds of people, lots of different kinds of organizations. We've developed different skills because of that. I've been an entrepreneur several times. I wouldn't trade any of that. And when I'm talking to young people, or especially the parents of young people, I sometimes just want to say like, the ability to explore the idea that at 2022, we're going to have our lives laid out. No, we're not.
No way. No way.
No way. And that's really the richness of life. I think so much of my life has been shaped by the illusion of security.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
And I'm getting to a place in life of understanding like there really things happen all the time. What really hopefully we develop some self-confidence in is the fact that we're going to be able to weather whatever storms come, that we've got people around us who care for us and will be there with us. I mean, that's what makes a rich life.
I love that so much. Oh, such wisdom. And it is so important to see that we are not defined by our careers. They inform us, they provide us, we provide them, we provide others, and creating a full, rich life. Such a great reminder today, Suzanne. I'm so appreciative of that. As I mentioned when we first connected and didn't start recording yet, my hope is for others to hear these stories because maybe they haven't gotten to the point of where we are.
Sure.
Any other thing you'd like to share for people who might be feeling the initial pull or tug to be more or to live more into their lives?
I simply want to say this. It is never too late.
Never too late.
It is never too late. I don't know about you, but I was in my 50s when I went through the DOEC program. It is never too late.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that sometimes happens as we age is that the imperative to live authentically becomes ever more pressing.
It really does.
Yes. And so I think the cost of ignoring that also becomes more burdensome. So if I can say anything, spend some time, reflect, think about what it is that you really value. Think about what it is that by the time you get to the end of your life is going to lead you to feel like I did at least the best I could. And I think I had a positive impact on the people around me, and go for it. Life is short.
Absolutely agree. And I also found that even though I walked away from title and a little more financial security, I still was able to let go of some things I didn't really need. I just was getting because I could. But I find that I'm finding more joy and rest, as you mentioned, and exploring things that I love. I'm trying to be more present with my family. It can be hard for me to be present because I've been wired to just do things so often. Doing has been my love language. So I got to figure out how to be being is a love language. But yeah, so thank you so much. A couple of lightning round questions for you.
Sure.
What is your go-to morning beverage?
Oh, as my husband will tell you, coffee is my most important meal of the day.
Oh, love it. Yes. I've had to cut down my caffeine, which makes me really sad, but I do love it. If you could choose mountains or beach, what would you choose?
I would choose mountains that lead to the ocean.
I love it. I guess, always like put them together. I love it. Okay. What is your go-to rest ritual?
I have rediscovered the joy of naps, but I love calling them siestas. A friend of mine yesterday, when we were talking, introduced me to this concept of, what do you call it? Productive procrastination.
Oh, I do not know this.
Yes. And so I am no longer going to nap. I am going to engage in a little bit of proactive procrastination someday.
I love it. I love it. Yes. Okay, wonderful. And then we talked about gardening, which I love.
Yes.
Yes. And thank you so much for the book recommendations.
Oh, good. I hope you like it.
I will always take book recommendations. And I just thank you so much for your time today.
Sure.
For all of you listening, we went through a whole lot of things today, technology related and Wi-Fi related, and we made it. So I thank you, my friend, and I can't wait to keep in contact with you for all the wonderful things.
Kathleen, it's been a pleasure, and we know how to roll with the punches. Good to see you, my friend. Bye-bye.
I'm so happy you were able to hear our conversation and just the journey and reflection and meaning that a long career can have, and how we can find the meaning sometimes once we step away. How we find meaning when we can step away and have a little space to reflect on a nonlinear, kind of swervy, curvy career that has impact not only on ourselves but others. I absolutely love the fact that I have a few new books to add to my list, which is not a good thing for my nightstand. Thank you for joining us today, and I will include the links to the books in the show notes, as well as a little more information about Suzanne. And please subscribe or follow so you don't miss future episodes or mini-sodes. And I just hope you have a wonderful week and a wonderful month. Thank you.